Hello there, and welcome to the Tammy Tuckey Show. My name is Tammy Tuckey, and it's good to see you. So from October 1st, 1999 to January 1st of 2001, Walt Disney World celebrated the new year, 2000, with a musical parade at EPCOT featuring many talented cast and crew members who puppeteered the show that took us into the 21st century. I can't talk. The 21st century. There we go. It's been 25 years since its debut. And for the next 2 hours, we will be speaking to those very cast and crew members that made the magic. So this is Tapestry of Nations.
Opening ceremonies of the new Millennium. Every day, every night at EPCOT.
So this evening, we're going to be splitting this up into 3 groups so we can hear as many stories as possible. So let's welcome our first group. Here they come. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys this evening? Welcome, welcome.
Doing great.
Good, thank you.
Great.
You guys all have some of your backgrounds ready to go?
Exactly.
all
We're
ready.
prepared.
Yeah, we're performers. That's what we do.
There we go.
I like to always start out by telling why I usually do these interviews is because I love hearing the stories behind the creation of some of my favorite things that I grew up with. So I grew up as a 5-6-year-old seeing this parade multiple times with my family.
Oof.
And I always wanted to be
Right
involved.
to the heart.
Oh no. Oh, I won't say how long it's been. It's been 25 years. But anyway, but this was such a parade that had so much inclusion in it. And I don't think not everybody got to experience it. So before we jump into what the parade was about, the Millennium celebration's coming up. You're all Disney cast members. What did you hear about this first audition call? Was there an audition call to be involved in the parade? And if so, what did you hear about it first?
So for me, I was down on the college program, and a friend of mine down there found out about it. And that's how I just went along with her. I was like, okay, this will be something fun to do. And then I can tell my mom I'm staying in Florida forever.
Yeah.
I was actually at work. I was a gangster, great movie ride, and I came down on break. And the intranet was like brand new at Disney, where you could go in and see what was going on, park hours and stuff like that. And someone grabbed me in the break room and they said, hey man, there's a parade going on at EPCOT with drummers. You should go audition. And I was like, nah, I'm never gonna do that. And decided to, on a whim, I think it was on a Saturday or a Friday afternoon. I was like, I'm just gonna go do it. The rest was history.
Yeah, I saw the flyers multiple times and then got 3 calls from casting before I decided, okay, fine, I'll do it. They pled with me that your theater background, just workshop this. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that. And there we are.
For me, I was on college program actually in attractions, and I was dying to get my foot in the door. So I went to auditions and made it past all the rounds. And in the last round, right before a fitting, one of the directors, I guess, came over to me and was like, hey, we're putting on a little parade over at EPCOT. Would you like to do that? And I was like, yeah, I would.
And I would echo the same. It was also a college program for me. I actually was going to school in aerospace and decided I really needed to do something that was back in entertainment and theater, which was where my heart was. So auditioned for the college program, had no idea where I would land, and found myself a part of an amazing experience here in Tapestry, and came back for multiple seasons after the first summer. So loved it.
So what is Tapestry? If somebody were to come up to you and say, I never got to experience this parade, how would each of you describe it? Because I'm sure we have some people watching who don't really know anything about it. So
I think a lot of people expect it to be very Disney. And the first thing I say is there's no Mickey. You don't see any of the characters. Right. It's just this totally unique parade, unlike anything else.
It was really what you made of it.
Yeah. It was just joy. something different, like Jen said, but also something that everybody felt a part of because we were so interactive. The guests were part of the show. So it's just something completely different.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say it's something that's distinctly EPCOT, which you don't really see is specific to a park anymore. You know, there's kind of a homogenization happening around the parks. And that's what I loved about Tapestry was it was just so unique. You couldn't do that at any other park. And how we were kind of the opening act for Reflections of Earth. Like it just was the perfect package, all of it.
I really remember, you know, the timing was in that 99 to 2000, you know, the Millennium period of the world. And there was just a lot of anxiety, a lot of polarization across the globe. And this parade really was all about unity and world peace and just bringing people together and kind of grounded in the spirit of love. And it was just this beautiful experience to just witness in the first place. I remember them being a part of the Super Bowl that year, and then knowing that this was an opportunity for us to just tell a story in a really beautiful way of how we can bring people together across divides.
Yeah, I could just add to that really quickly about the Super Bowl thing. So Drum Corps International is, you know, really popular marching bands, really technical marching bands, right? They go around the world, they run the United States and compete. The show was so popular that year that like 4 drum corps wrote music for their shows. And so they did Millennium, which Tapestry and Reflections were part of. And a lot of the drummers were drum corps guys, ex-drum corps guys. And so it was really neat to see how this parade had impacted not just park guests, but actually influenced, you know, other musicians and performers around the United States.
That was a big part of the Super Bowl. And not only that, it was when we went into the Millennium, they were using that for the Dick Clark, because I have home videos my dad took of just that music playing and showing shots from around the world, which is something that you probably don't really hear of any type of Disney thing kind of entering into the Super Bowl, first of all, and then being a part of the New Year celebration. It's usually like the Christmas parade that you hear about, right? Or the Easter parade. So just a unique thing. And you were right, because I think a lot of people forget that the Y2K fear was around that time. And it was just, it was all before everything that happened in 2001. And it was just a different feeling in the air. I remember it too. And I just remember it being so happy and joyful. And that was why we're so excited. We would always sit down for that parade and be excited to be a part of it. And you mentioned another thing is people could be in it. They would dance with you. And I just remember that they did that for the 25th anniversary at Magic Kingdom. And it sounded like it kind of made its way to EPCOT being able to do that. So what was like the instruction on how that would work? Because I feel like they would technically not be able to do it nowadays, because I'm sure illegal would come in and be like, no. So what was the direction that was given to make sure people were included if they wanted to be?
Well, I mean, the workshop process alone, it was, here's a 20-foot puppet, here's kind of the characterization of each,
right?
And let's put it to movement. Now figure out how can you bend this 20-foot thing over yourself to engage with the guests and all that. But it was just, it really was blurring those lines and bringing our guests into it, having that really the direction from show directors and everything else, everyone else on the team that just encouraged it and
exactly. And that's what I was going to say. A lot of our direction was to have fun with it. It was a joyful parade. So if we're having fun doing it, that's going to come across to the guests. And it was already something amazing for little kids, right? You're this high and you're seeing this big giant puppet come towards you, and you're hearing somebody say, come dance with me or pull the string. And then your child getting all, exuberant over it. Now the parents are enjoying it, and now they're becoming part of it. So it's just something that had this ripple effect that really has not been replicated again.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, I was almost exclusively a Sprite, and I think it was the easiest for us, because we had our arms free, and we could pull children out to dance with us in the street, and everyone seemed to love it except for my mom. My mom hated when I tried to pull her out to dance.
I would add too, I was a Sprite. My favorite part, we had these huge, giant butterfly wings that when kids would, come up through our invitation, we could wrap our wings around them and give them this kind of hug experience that I still know people today who shared, what that experience meant to them. It was just such an amazing, amazing time to be a part of.
Yeah, and to speak to that, we have a cast member now at who's in entertainment at EPCOT, who came into entertainment and works at EPCOT because of seeing Tapestry as a kid. So it's just kind of cool how that transcended.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We just waved.
As the drummers.
That's all we can do. Actually, I did the first after opening night. Must have been that week. We when you work at Disney, you get this whole like empowerment thing. Like you can make decisions to make the guest lives like happier. And I remember as we were going into Germany off the second show, I threw a drumstick to a kid. Of like, here, like, drummer giving a stick to a kid. And I'm getting down off my float backstage, and this cast member runs up and they go, here, you dropped your stick.
Oh no.
They grabbed it from the kid.
Oh no.
I was like, oh, it was for the child. Like, how mortifying for the poor child. So that was our only interaction.
Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Well, how did you guys do the rehearsal process? Because I've always heard that usually parades or anything like that, before it reaches the guests' eyeballs, you're usually really up early in the morning and doing that, just the run through, the physical run through. So, and that's a long route you had too, right? Where did it start? Where did it end? And how was that, rehearsal process like?
Started with, like I said, workshop, developing the movements for the puppets, and then we had to present it in the convention center at the Contemporary to the investors, the executives, and then it was time to put it on the street. So you have to figure out late night rehearsals, the pacing and spacing, how that works with the music, and then on top of it, you had. I'm drawing a blank now. It was so you had the rehearsal was a very long process. It was overnights, a lot of overnights, a lot of trial and error. It actually started in 3 different segments around World Showcase. So it started, there was a Mexico to Germany pass, and then another pass was starting at the same time from Germany to Morocco. And then when the show was initiated, there was the third pass, which was Morocco to UK. And that the whole idea was that come the middle presentation called Mirror Ball, the entire showcase would be encompassed with Tapestry.
Yeah, really. So that no matter where you were in the park, Tammy, you could see it, you could experience it. It was intentional to start in those 3 different spaces so that no matter where you were, you got to experience it. And then in terms of rehearsal,
It was so glittery.
I really remember warm-ups before every parade, like really intense stretching, lots of exercise, lots of cardio. I remember we kept drinking Powerade. They kept, replenishing us to make sure we were all hydrated and ready to go. But very
physical therapists from the beginning too. We had physical therapists that came and taught us how to stretch and took care of us. And the overnight process, choreography changes. I remember it would change throughout. Like we would be in the middle of something. They're like, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's try this. And we're like, okay.
You guys would all stop for spacing and pacing. We just lay down. And
Must be nice.
No, it was wild because like for like the first 6 weeks. So for drummers, we didn't even see we didn't see half the cast. We were in a practice room in Mexico, rehearsal room, and they were casts of 3. There's an A, a B, and a C cast, and it just depended on the time of night when you went. And we used to have these gigantic wooden boards with the drums drawn on them and music stands as the hi-hats. And we would just go over 35 measures of music, play it 15 times, and then go from measure 36 to 72, play that 15 times, then play it all over again. And the first time we saw the floats, we went to Germany, into the shed, and they were still being built. And we were like, oh my God. And then Rich Viano, the guy who wrote the music for drums, he turned it on and it started whirring and it started to get very, very real. And then we got out onto the parade route and saw all the puppets. And it was like, just to see all the different puppets. And it was very, very surreal, especially as a musician. As a drummer, you sit in the back and you might have a rhythm section next to you. But now you have these amazing performers as tall as your float, and it was unbelievable.
I just want to add one thing for the rehearsals that we went through as opening cast in the beginning. I don't know if you guys remember this, but my favorite time was when we got to view the oh my gosh, you guys.
Reflections. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fireworks in the show.
I still tell that story because it's still my favorite firework. You know,
it was just the most magical thing.
Yeah.
We're all there. We've been up all night long. It's, you know, the middle of the night, and we get to watch this for the very first time, the very first people to see it.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible.
Jen, do you remember how fussy we were?
Our fireworks.
Do you remember how angry we were? They're like, okay, you guys can't go anywhere. We're like, we just want to go home. And they're like, no. Just lay in your backpack.
Do you remember?
You don't want to miss this.
You could feel the fire from the fire barge.
Oh,
the first couple, because the first couple nights it was like overgassed. They were trying to like dial in the flame, and you're like, like, it was amazing. It's still my favorite piece of Disney music ever. Is Reflections.
Agreed.
We have a couple of comments.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, throughout the evening, if you'd like to ask questions in our YouTube chat or mention some comments, we have some interesting comments that have been coming in. I've seen the parade 5 times between 1999 and 2002, and it's still, to this day, the best Disney World history parade. Happy 25.
Oh,
thank you.
We love it.
I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is, but they say I remember late nights and very early morning rehearsals. Dreams Cast 2002.
Oh, dreams!
And going to Perkins at 9 o'clock in the morning at Crossroads afterwards. Yeah.
I would have to get ready for my attraction shift.
yeah, I know what you mean. It was wild because I got to say, so musicians, it was basically a contract gig. So my day-to-day job didn't. Like overtime didn't apply, all that stuff. So I was at the movie ride from like 9 a.m. to like 6, and then I would go home, and then from midnight to 8 was A cast, and then come back in and play.
Jeez,
you know, one thing I really remember. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to say one thing. The biggest memory I have about, our puppets were these bigger than life, super tall. Super big things for us to carry and be a part of it. But for Sprites, our outfits were these giant wings, giant tails, that we really were just giant kites. And I remember every time there was wind, or if it was windy, kind of in the area, we would hear across the walkie-talkie, Sprites down, you can't go out because you're going to blow away. Like, we were really worried about blowing away. And that was probably one of my favorite memories.
That's when we coined the phrase, let's go fly a Sprite. Yeah, that's where that came from.
Or we'd go out on a stage, and all of a sudden we see like 4 puppets go running back to the open area, right? So you make it to World Showcase Promenade, and then Amy would be like, nope.
or when it starts to rain and you see this.
That's right.
You're moving.
I tell you what, when that Sage of Time costume was wet, there was no moving.
Oh, man,
you were suction cupped to the ground. It was heavy.
Oh no! So there would be times where it would rain, like it wasn't raining, and then it would just start raining during the parade, and just guys
it's
had
Florida.
to keep going.
It's a daily occurrence. Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So I know some people had makeup tracks for this. So how were those designed? I was just curious as to how they were decided on, because it kind of reminded me of Cirque du Soleil. So.
Anybody got that? I mean, all we just knew it was show direction, and here's the thing of Aztec gold and a sponge.
Yeah, we were told.
We had Doritos.
That's what we had.
Out of it. With the Dorito phases. Yeah.
No.
I still have the sheet of paper that shows exactly like where to put the purple and the blue and the big orange cheek. Red cheeks, and
you guys had
our makeup was the worst.
Yeah, we had a lot.
So bad.
The little heart-shaped lips.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And it would never come off at the end of the night. It's just on your face forever.
And some of those colors look better on others. It didn't always look great on everybody, but it always was vibrant and popped with the costuming. The colors were just so bright and beautiful. Can't complain.
Well, you guys sent in some great photos. So let's take a look at what you sent in. I'm going to make sure that this is pretty much on the bigger screen here. Let's do a full screen layout. Whoever has these photos, whoever sent them in, why don't you tell us a little bit about them? I think these are lilies.
This is me. Not very many pictures, so I'm glad that these worked for you. But the first picture is Hammer. The second one, that is Aztec. And then the third is my heart. That's Wiggle. So that's what I opened the show as. That was my main puppet. She was supposed to be very flirty and inviting the guests to come along with her. Aztec was a lot more militant. So more like when we did those movements, they were a little bit more staccato. And then Hammer was kind of like, not robotic, but more, like I used to think of it like a big rock creature. Like remember from The Neverending Story, the big rock guy? Like that's how I always pictured Hammer. So his movements were like a little bit more heavy. But yeah, I loved it.
Okay, here we go.
Aww.
Oh yeah, these are my
Alrighty.
pictures. Yep. So the first two are the Sprite costume. That's exactly what we look like, and you can see all the bright colors of makeup. But we really were kind of a mix of a butterfly and a fairy type of a winged character, and the costume gave us a lot of flexibility and freedom in our movement, in our dance, our opportunities to engage with the folks in the audience. We could bring them in and hold their hands. We could wrap our wings around them, as I shared earlier. And then there was even an opportunity, there was a string at the top of our wings where we could pull them down and do this kind of curtsy bow. It was really elegant looking and part of our dance as well. And then we were always told when we had, fun opportunities to blow kisses to people throughout the experience. And then that last picture is our sage, our storyteller, master of ceremonies type of thing. And they were a stilt walker character, very amazing and vibrant part of the story. And one of my favorite characters of the entire parade.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, next up.
Yeah, I also sent these pictures. So this is a gathering of some of our cast members. I think this is probably one of those last days of the summer kind of photos where we all just came together. One of the other amazing things about being a part of the Tapestry Parade was before the parade started, we always had an opportunity to gather at the Disney parks and kind of just have fun and experience the magic of Disney together. And so this is one of those moments where we all came together probably an hour or two before we had to check in for warm-ups and stretch, where we got to go play and party throughout the parks and find time to take amazing photos with characters like Chip and Dale here in the photo as well. And then the last picture is one of my favorite friends who was part of our college program as well, and she was there in her character. I can't tell which character she is though. Do you all? Can you recognize that character?
Aztec.
Yeah.
Aztec. So that's a great photo of her there.
Can I ask how heavy were there heavier puppets than others? More heavier
Yes,
than
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
Which one was the heaviest?
For sure. And
Is it Bird, Bryan?
I would say
Or was it
between
Angel?
Bird and Angel, to be honest. It really just depended on how the weight was distributed during the whichever movement.
Yeah.
And if you can see in Ashley's photo there, Tammy,
Pouncy.
you could see that the bars kind of came down to her waist, and there was support straps that went around our waist and across our thighs as well. We call those happy straps, but it helped us to distribute the weight of the puppets throughout our body, so it made it easier to carry. Man, these are all my pictures. Sorry.
They're great.
You you'll probably see some of your faces in them too. So another great celebratory photo at the end of one of our evenings there. So this was, post parade moment where we all took pictures together and just wanted to capture the memories before that particular summer of 2000 was coming to an end and we were all going to be going back home. So just wanted to share that photo with folks. And then the last picture, that's James Pouncey.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the amazing drummers at the time. And you can see how they're kind of up on that little balcony of the giant wheel. And so I think, that's what Justin was saying, didn't always have the opportunity to come down and interact with folks, but I love hearing that you throw sticks at people. So the kid didn't get to keep it.
You know, the
They
biggest
always
hassle for that, there's two things. First of all, getting onto the float. There's to your right, to Pouncey's left, there's a little like a trap door. You have to lift it up and pull it out. And it would always get stuck. And in the Florida heat, it would start to warp. So it would never fit right. So you're always afraid if you're going to go flying through and step through and break your leg. And then there are also, you can't see them, but there are lights that shoot up towards the mirror ball. And every once in a while, there are mirrors. Again, you can't. So you can kind of see by Pouncey's knees. But the light would hit those mirrors, then go to the mirror ball. But for some weird reason, the mirrors would never line up appropriately, and they'd hit you in the eyes. And so you're getting these like sunlight lights in your eyes, and you're trying to do this slow motion, beautiful, and you're like, I can't see anything. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna trip and break my neck. Yeah.
The other really cool thing about that photo, and Justin, maybe you can describe it. The wheel would rotate as they moved, right? So those drums would just rotate, and they would just constantly play them as they spun around throughout the walk, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So the whole premise is that we're the timekeepers. So it's a giant clock that's keeping the processional moving in time, and the planets all aligned. And so as the float would move, the drums would independently spin. So if you're, depending on what side you're on, they might go counterclockwise or clockwise. And some days you'd forget. And it mattered because you played different parts of music depending on the side that you're at. But yeah, those were Remo frame drums. In fact, I actually rebuilt the whole drum kind of setup. It's on my wall. It's kind of like a little tribute to Tapestry, because it was just such a really, really cool and unique experience.
Alrighty, these are your photos, Bryan.
Yep. So one of our, classic group photos. We were thick as thieves. We hung out after. We'd all go out and watch reflections. We'd go to Atlantic Dance. So this is a shot of us at Atlantic Dance. And then to the right is my buddy, the Sage of Time. Not much else to say there other than very heavy, but one just incredible character. And there he is again. And then to the right, I sent this in for fun. Really, there are only a few pictures that exist of me in this friend. He is when we kicked off Tapestry of Dreams. So it took 3 Dreamseekers to replace the almighty Sage of Time. And the picture to the right in the blue is one of said characters. His name was Cosmo. So yeah.
I love these. It's just so cool to see those costumes again and in clear, nice photos, because Googling, I was trying to find, more of the costumes themselves. And I was able to obtain one of the drummer's costumes. So I do have that in my collection. I couldn't pull it out because I've already put it away, packed it away. But it's just so cool because it has so many layers to it. And you just appreciate the quality that went into the visual aspect. And I think that's what Disney always brings out, is like, they put in time and effort to make you guys look fantastic. So I always love that.
I was surprised how heavy that costume was, the drummer costume.
Yes,
because
it is.
When we did, so you guys all remember when they kind of kicked off, when it was the big rah-rah at Contemporary, when every cast and everyone associated with the parade was there, and that's when we first heard some of the music. We saw some of the puppets. The drums weren't done yet, but we saw sketches. And I remember the first night of dress, putting on the costume and saying to like the other drummers, I'm like, God, this thing is really heavy. Like our arms were fine. Like we, and the really dorky capes, we couldn't stand, and the unitards. But there, we wore this kind of like a gauntlet or something. It was just really, really heavy. When it rained, it just soaked in the water, and you'd play to just kind of, your shoulders would just get absolutely destroyed from a.
Well, because you're constantly doing this the whole time, right? Yeah. Oh, wow.
And us sprites, we were the only ones that had to wear spandex, which we hated.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, Christopher says being a part of Tapestry was such an integral part of my life. It was so much more than just a parade for me. Love my Tap family.
Oh, we love you, Chris.
We love you too.
Can't wait for that.
Jason says, I loved performing as Bird and Angel, 2 of my favorites to show the guests. Both of these were heavy.
Yeah.
And Caleb says, I have a picture of my family and I in front of Spaceship Earth with the 2000 on it when I was 3 years
Oh
old.
man.
Oh,
Same
Look
here,
at
Caleb.
that, Caleb.
Caleb.
Oh.
Brutal. Brutal.
I know there's a lot of Disney fans that did not like that addition to the Spaceship Earth ball, but I was not opposed to it. So
I just meant the 3 years old. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
oh no, that
Yeah.
too. Yes.
That was the
actually-
painful part.
I visited Disney last month with my family. I brought my children for the first time, and we met a cast member at our resort where we were staying. And she somehow we got to talking, and I told her that I had worked there and Tapestry and everything, and she said, "I love that parade." And she said, "But I wasn't alive when it was performed."
Oh, wow.
It hurts. But her parents
Oh.
loved it so much that they had bought the CD of the music and played it all the time. And so she loved the music, and which was really nice to hear. I could have done without I wasn't alive at the time, but
That's awesome.
Yeah, another thing is like they made a special CD of this music because
Yeah,
people
yeah.
were asking left and right, I want it, and that's not really done anymore. Disney doesn't
No.
release
No.
CDs, although I miss that.
I still have
The crazy thing.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the crazy thing about that music and the soundtrack is that it still evokes that same emotion
Yeah.
from when
Yes,
the
it
parade
does.
came out. So when you hear it, it's still like hearing it for the first time. You get the chills, you get
Yeah.
all of the feels.
Mhm.
I was gonna say I still have
It's-
my rehearsal CD. That's just white,
Oh, wow.
white disc that says Tapestry, and there's two versions. There's two different Sage of Time or two different narrator openings, and I forgot which one we went with. But the left channel is a click because that's what we listened to in our headphones when we performed. So every drummer had a click in their ear, so we stayed in time, and then the music was in
wow.
the right. But I was gonna also say that. With along the lines of the CD, they made merchandise. They made little Remo made drums. I don't know if you can see it. It's
Yeah.
inside my bookshelf,
Yeah.
but there's a Tapestry of Nations drum.
They did
That was an
drums.
actual
They
friendship.
did.
The runs,
Yeah.
the
They
kites,
did mini
Puppets.
puppets.
They did the
They
puppets.
did
Yeah, mini
I have
puppets.
pins.
the
Yeah.
posters, the pins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
masks, the blow up masks.
Oh,
Yep.
that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a
I
lot
always
of
keep
merch.
an eye out. I have an eBay save search for Tapestry of Nations because there's always something that pops up. And when I got those puppets finally, because they are worth a lot. Like some people put both of them up for like 500 plus, and I have gotten both of them now, but not for that much, thank goodness. But I have them now. I'm
Wow.
glad they made merch for the parade. Like again, that's
Yeah.
something that's not really done anymore. Sometimes they make
Yeah.
a pin, but
Mhm.
so tell me about maybe a mishap that happened. When we go on with the show, right? It's we go on with the show. But I had heard that Bryan might have one.
Oh no! I know exactly what you're talking about because you're the one that posted it.
Did I post
You
it? I don't
did.
remember.
You did like ages ago. You did. Would that be the
Oh.
Great Ball of Time?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Oh gosh. Okay.
Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to show it first?
Oh,
Show it
there's
first.
footage,
Why
Brian.
not? Oh, there's
There's
definitely
video,
footage.
let's
I
see
can
it.
tell you who put it online.
As long as you're okay with it, Bryan. I don't mean to put you
It's-
on the spot,
It's
but
totally fine. I
Okay.
survived it.
here we go.
That's not the footage.
Oh, where is it?
Not
Sorry.
you.
Wrong
No.
one.
Okay, that looks
wrong
beautiful.
One. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so
that's
sorry
how.
about
Okay,
that.
So everybody knows that's
Right.
how it's supposed to look.
Is this not it?
Yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
it? It's not. Is it not playing? Hold on. I will find it. I know it's here
No worries.
somewhere.
I will
Seriously,
talk about it
just
before
here.
you find it.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you talk about it? I'm gonna find it. I'll be
All
right
right.
back.
So-
go ahead.
Sage of Time had this massive like cathedral, cape, and to keep it shape was this plastic tubing. Well, when I got to Morocco, a crowd control cast member put the edge of the cape over a pop-up sprinkler head. Well, I was totally unaware of it. And it was my second night in the role. The first night was a mishap, different. So I was in it to win it on this one. To go back a bit, the night before my headpiece fell down because I didn't know how to quite use it yet. So the video she's gonna find, it's cranked down so tight you can tell on my face it looks like I'm gonna puke. Well, that was the least of my worries, because as I go to take that step, I've got something to prove. The headpiece stayed on, and it's like falling in slow-mo. It's great because Jeff Call was the leader on it. I think he was kind of newish to leadership then. He's now my boss, which is wicked cool. But did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, gosh.
You ready?
Here we go.
Thank you for stalling. My apologies. Here it is.
Oh, gosh. Oh, yep, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, but wait for the finish, folks.
At least you fell on beat.
And I knew I had seconds for them to get me up, because I knew that speech was coming.
Oh my God.
I hear him kind of bossy, so this is, I think, where that started.
Without
Right back into it.
There you go.
Show must go on.
That's right. Nothing
Love
to see
it.
here. We're all good.
That's amazing.
So from that moment on, no one, unless they were involved with the parade, were allowed to be within a certain footage of the Sage of Time costume on parade route.
Wow. You rocked it though. Look at that ending.
Yeah.
Like you were like, I'm
Own
gonna
it.
get this done.
I was 22. If I did that now, you'd be scraping me off of the promenade. I'd break everything now. Yeah.
Were you working? Was anyone working in? And I was not on this route. I was in Mexico, but the drum floats, the wheels were gigantic iron wheels. Like it was a really, really heavy float. And when you left Morocco to go to UK, anyone's been to EPCOT knows there's a series of kind of inclines, and those tugs that tug the floats were not the strongest tugs in the world. And I think Toma Rusk was the driver for this, but the float was going up the embankment over in France to go to UK, and all of a sudden the tug started pulling backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards, and everyone said stop, put the brake on. Apparently one of the wheels from the float had fallen off and rolled all the way down, and the wheel is like 500 pounds, and it's like going gangbusters towards a bunch of guests in France. And I remember they actually got it to UK, and but then the float was down and the spacing was all differently. But I remember it wasn't Pouncy. I can't remember who it was. Sean Crilly maybe was the drummer, or I don't remember. But they were like, "Yeah, we're done for the day." What happened? The wheel came off and literally rolled down the promenade.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The things that we can laugh at now.
Yeah.
I tell you.
I mean, we used to make so many jokes about it. We loved what we did, but we talk about, sprites because we were like kites flying across the lagoon.
Yeah. We were giant lightning rods.
And we'd all go, do I feel a drop? Is that a drop? Are we down in the parade? Are we down in the run? Is it
DOS.
I think the wind's too high.
Yeah.
Jen, I don't know if this is you or somebody impersonating you, but your question is, how long did you guys do the parade for? It looks so much fun.
So that's probably my son. Hi, Colin.
That's so funny.
So, Colin, I did the parade from the start until not very long. My mom made me come back home and go to college, finish up college. So I was only there until like May or June of 2000 rather.
I did opening. So I was opening night, and then I went to the end of 01, end of 2. I didn't do Dreams, and I had actually left the company, took a job up Northeast. So never got to do Dreams, but did the rest of run of Tap.
I started in May of 2000, did it throughout the summer, went back to college, came back at Christmas time, and then after graduating, came back again and did it that last summer of 2001.
I was 99 to 2000, mid 2000, and I would have stayed, but I was done college and I needed a place to live. And so I needed a full-time job, and Tapestry didn't have it at the time. So I had to just come back kind of as a sub, and I had my full-time job over in attractions. So.
And I was 99 till we closed Tapestry of Dreams.
Wow.
And I'm still there.
Brian says Brandy was the driver.
Oh, that night?
Bittman. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, and we have another Brandy watching. As the sister to Brian, I've never been more proud of him. He is given the best role model.
Oh.
That's so sweet.
I'll send her a check. She's going to text me in a minute about that. Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
when
I
you were
love
talking about the music earlier, I do know that I go to the parks. I don't go as often as I used to, but they still kind of have segments of the song playing at different moments at EPCOT. I know they were part of other fireworks shows that happened. You would hear it just kind of embedded in there, like, oh, they're paying homage to us. And then even when the park closed, like walking out of the park, we would hear the music playing over the speakers. And it's always going to be there. It's just so special.
Yeah,
like
if you
to
get a
think
chance. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Really quickly, I was gonna say I like to think that our legacy are the flames all around World Showcase.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's kind of the last piece that you can look at it and reminisce and feel old.
Love, feel love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about walking
Connected.
through the park, even like these days, because you do still hear tinges of Tapestry throughout, and especially now with World Celebration Gardens to the front of the park. Like if you haven't been through there at night, y'all need to go through there at night.
It's amazing.
You will get, I get chills talking about it. You will get the old school, almost tap vibe. Just the whole environment just brings it all back. Maybe not legit the music note for note, but the feel is there.
Well, why don't you all provide one word that kind of sums up your experience working on tap? And we'll start with you, Brian.
Family.
I guess I'll go next. Unparalleled.
Unforgettable.
I'm gonna say sprites.
Ooh.
A lot of drummers and sprites.
Drummers and sprites.
I'm changing mine.
The football players and the cheerleaders.
Great.
Love the drummers.
Yeah.
It's so hard and picked as one.
I know. One word even. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick
hard.
love. I'm gonna pick love. It's grounded in love.
Yeah. Feels like
Well,
yesterday. It
before
really
you-
does.
Yeah.
Before you leave, let's do a Kodak moment where we all look at the camera and we're going to count back from 3, 2, 1, and smile. Perfect. There we go. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. You opened the show. So now, so I appreciate that. And now we're going to say a little farewell. And while we're saying farewell, I'm going to play a little sizzle reel while we're saying goodbye. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this. It was so great to see all of you.
Thanks very much.
guys.
Good to see
everyone.
you
Guys
guys.
soon.
Have a great night.
Bye.
See everybody. Bye.
Every day
Yeah.
until New Year's 2001, families from around the world are coming to Walt Disney World to mark this special moment in a global celebration. Complementing the celebration are new attractions and rides designed to spark the imaginations of guests. At Millennium Village, the cultures of the world are all gathered to celebrate their diversity and to remind us how alike we all are. Every day around World Showcase Lagoon, over 2,000 singers, dancers, and giant puppets perform a Tapestry of Nations. Soaring nearly 20 feet tall, these enormous figures dramatically represent all regions of the world.
Awesome. So now we're on to round 2 to talk about Tapestry. Here we go. Group number 2. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, it's great to meet all
Nice
of you.
shirt,
Hello and
Jeff.
welcome.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, where'd you get that?
That's awesome. Yeah.
I was going to wear it today at EPCOT, but I thought I'd sweat through it, so I wore my other shirt and
Probably.
saved this one for the interview. So.
Is that part of the costume, or is that something you made?
No, that's our Tapestry 25 reunion alumni association created shirts. So Shanna had the Sprite shirt on the last group, and this is the drummer shirt that's got that shoulder. There we go. Got the drum RPU, got drummer on the back. It's got a Sprite's phone number underneath. No, it doesn't. Sorry.
Not surprising.
Oh my goodness.
I never
it says
did
Jeannie.
anything with
Oh,
a
it's
hammer.
Jeannie's number.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. for Jeannie.
I was just about to say that. It is 4 a.m. for Jeannie.
You get a fjord. There's a fjord there somewhere.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you for hailing all the way from Norway, right? Is that where you're at right now?
I am, thanks to Tapestry.
Well, why don't we go through? Tell me all the parts that you guys got to play in the parade during your time. And Jeannie, why don't you start us out?
Sure. I'm here representing Cosmo, but I've also done Sprite, Wiggle, Hammer, Aztec, Marionette, pretty much everything except for Bird, if I remember correctly. Yeah. No, no Bird and Discman, but yeah, all the others. Mm-hmm.
And hi, everybody. And I was pretty exclusively Marionette. I think I did Hammer a couple times, Disc a couple times, but yeah, I was a solid Bobo. Sorry, that's our nickname. That's our nickname for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cut.
Deep cut indeed. So I'm Amy. I was one of the opening parade managers for Tapestry. So very glad to be here. And almost closing, but I got transferred to another location before the end of the show.
And I'm Kimberly. I came in later. So I was in a training group that worked a little bit differently than the opening cast training groups did. So I think I was the first female to go through training in the 5 big puppets. So I did Disc, Bird, Angel, Marionette. And after my first pass in Disc, I looked at Jeff Call and said, I can't do this. But I am the Angel representative for today because she was my favorite. So,
yeah, that's cool. I did interpretive dance. Is what I did. No, I'm not. I was a drummer.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I did.
I was
you just had drumsticks in here.
We had 36 pages of music and 4 pages of choreography, which I don't have. But when I got the 4 pages of choreography, I went, okay, this I can do. I got to do what else? And I went, thanks, Gail. Okay. So, but yeah, we had a little rhythm. So thank God for that. So, yeah. And I did the show from the very opening to the very, very end of Tapestry of Dreams. I did the very first, yeah. So the whole kit and caboodle. So
that's nice. Yeah. How did you guys find rehearsals in the initial start of it? Did you feel that it was something special you were working on?
Oh my God. Yeah, I can say for the drummers, Justin touched on this. We were kind of separated from the puppets, probably for good reason. But we practiced in a little practice area over in what we call Pico. It's just inside of EPCOT. It's this great room, and they had wood planks there. And Rich Viana, who wrote the music, had 4 leads already. His really great friends, and each of us were divvied into groups that went with a certain lead and learned the show measure by measure, section by section. And I had resigned from my job. I'm a nurse, but I had resigned from my job for nursing to do this. And I would just sit and practice and practice and practice all day. So when I went into rehearsal, I was ready. I knew I wanted to be ready. And it was really special because you got to meet really great people, really great friends that you never knew. And 600 drummers auditioned initially, 125 made callbacks, 55 made rehearsals. And then 25 of us made the main cast, and the rest were other casts to fill in. So I feel pretty fortunate. It was really awesome. And then we eventually got to the floats, and then we tried on the real drums. Then they spun the wheel, and it was like, oh gosh. And now that we got that spinning, great. Now we're going to drive this way and just don't fall off or throw up. It'll be great. So it was really special. And then finally, like I think the first group said, when you finally saw everybody on the parade route, it just, yeah, it was cool. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rehearsals were fun. Like, did college program, like a lot of us, and had a little bit of time under the belt during the summer. But yeah, being at Disney overnight and being part of a parade that's new, yeah, that was incredible. And we all got super close pretty much immediately. And then we had 4 months to perform together and stuff like that. But yeah, you're at Disney at night. It's awesome. For 20 somethings, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys, I heard that you guys used to go to Perkins after some of the rehearsals. So what was the meal of choice?
As much protein as possible. Those were long nights.
Open-faced turkey sandwich.
I love sugar. I took a Perkins Mammoth muffin with syrup on top.
Nice. It all sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys find?
They didn't invite me. So.
Oh, well,
No.
Just saying.
It was not intentional. We wanted, that is actually, there were many occasions where we would say, Amy, you should come with us. And she would be like, I have to be responsible. And we did often try and get her to come places with us. And she felt, that responsibility was more important than fun. So,
managers and cast shouldn't fraternize or whatever.
Yeah.
Now I would totally go, but I was still very new to being a leader at that point. And so I was trying to follow the rules as a chronic rule follower, even to this day. So as for rehearsals, it was fascinating because I actually joined the team. It was me and our leader, Miguel, for about 6 weeks. I came on at the end of July of 1999. We didn't have puppets. We didn't have floats. We didn't have a cast. We didn't have anything. And somehow by October 1st, we were going to have a parade. And we pulled it off. But the rehearsals overnight, I think I can now.
It's skipping you, Amy. Your audio is cutting in and out.
I don't earpods.
Those darn ear pods. We can't make out. It's skipping every other word. So here's what I'll do. If you want to grab some other headphones, I'm going to mute you just so we don't get your audio off and on. It's okay. We'll come back. Actually, somebody in the audience says, we always loved you, Amy, from Christy. So
true.
They love you and still do, she wrote. So
It's a funny thing about Amy. When I was first hired with the company, I worked with a group called Hollywood Hitmen, which was at MGM Studios, which we used to call Hollywood Studios, MGM Studios. And for those that weren't born before then. So, but when I was first hired on, I had to go to casting. And I had to go through HR, and I went to this awesome office, and there were pictures of Tigger and all these cool things. And I'm like, this is awesome. Tigger's my favorite costume. And in walks Amy. And she was the person that kind of signed all the paperwork for me to start. She goes, oh yeah, I did that. And I was like, this is so cool. And then to see her at Tapestry, I was like, oh, I remember you. That's cool. So small world.
Yes.
What were those first few audiences like to present the show to? Because again, they're first people getting to see this, right? But what was that finally like to do an interactive piece where you're finally with other people and get to pull them in?
Should go, Jeannie. You're there.
Oh, sure. Improv. Here we go. No. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I didn't start until summer of 2000. So I wasn't opening, but I did. I was at Yeah, I was actually, yep. So I was quite early. I had just turned 18 and moved away. So, and getting to perform for the audience, getting to see the audience each audience had either never seen it before or they were so excited to see these puppets. And I don't care. And if you were a kid or a kid at heart, it was just amazing to see how much they would reach up and want to just be a part of the show and a part of the magic, and you just wanted to bring them all in. The hardest part was having time to reach and and allow everyone that you saw to be a part of this, and you were just hoping that the next person behind you was going to get this one. Yeah, like we want to get everybody, and we tried so hard.
Yeah. I think
I actually saw the parade as a guest. The third day it was open. So I was working at a Disney store in San Diego, and we had gotten a really cheap deal on a 3-day Disney cruise. So a few of us that worked at the Disney store together went and did that, and then we did a couple days at the park. And when I've always said, like, I want to do parades at Disney World, and we went, and it was either the second or the third day Tapestry was open, so it was still like in the very early phases, but we watched it, and as soon as it ended, I turned around and I looked at the group I was with, and I said, I'm doing that parade. And I went home, and a friend of mine helped me find out how to get onto the college program, and then I auditioned at the end of my first college program. But it's funny because I have a scrapbook from that trip, and I have pictures, and I'm like, oh, that's Chris, and that's Bryan, and that's Laura. So I actually was a fan first and then got to do it. So that was
that's so awesome.
A really cool
I love that story.
to get to see it. Yeah. So
yeah, I can tell you the first time the gates opened, and we had done it, I don't know how many times before, just by ourselves. So we were used to that. We were used to going out on the promenade, doing the show. As a drummer, getting used to our drivers learning how to hit the brakes gently and not slam on the brakes just a couple times they would. So we'd almost go flying over the edge. And but it's a show that no one had seen before. No one knew what to make of it. But because of the millennia coming up, there were thoughts and worries like, God, is all the banks going to shut down? What's going to happen? And this show just produced love, it produced joy, it produced togetherness, and I think we all sensed that, but you didn't feel it until you had your first audience, and that's what really made it neat. And I think we did a soft opening, and maybe it was like the second day or the fourth day or something. We had a press event where there were only celebrities allowed in the park. They closed the park, they had all these celebrities, and of course, I was on the fun run, which was Morocco to UK and UK back, which was the most fun because that's where the most bars were at EPCOT. So audiences got a little obnoxious and loud and crazy and fun, and you just fed off their energy, right? It was great. And but I would never forget, as a drummer, we're facing the drums, but then when I turned around to play the hi-hat to face the audience, and we do this big arm thing, and the audience just went nuts, and I went, man, there's so many people here. And I looked out, and man, that girl's gorgeous. She looks like Sharon Stone. I'm like, I think that was Sharon Stone. Oh yeah, and that's that wrestler, and that's the cast of Ally McBeal. And I'm like, oh, all right, play the part. And but as performers, you feed off energy of the audience, and you give them energy. It's reciprocal. You get it back. Music and frequencies are all energy, and when you share it, you get it back. And that's a special thing. That's a really special thing. And any concert you go to, any show you go to, but because we were so close to the audience, I mean, drummers weren't, but we still connected with them, and just see the puppets that were able to connect and change lives. And kids, life's short. So enjoy it and spread that joy and love. And I think that's what we managed to do. And the audience reciprocated for sure.
And I think also, like, the thing that drew me to the parade the first time I saw it is it was the first time, and I think some people will argue that Block Party Bash sort of did it, but we were the only parade where it wasn't Disney characters, it wasn't people wearing wigs, it was just Kim from San Diego and Jeannie from and we were just out there. And so people will say, oh, I was at the parks at that time, and people will open up their family photo albums and you're like, that's me. I'm in your family photo album, which, you know, it's, and I did many of the parades at other parks, and it was just such a different experience because it wasn't like I'm being a character. We were all just being ourselves, and we had everything from 18-year-olds, maybe younger, up to, I mean, we had a couple of people who came after their regular jobs and they were, you know, older, and they went out there and they dragged those puppets through the promenade with us. And so it was just such a cool experience because it wasn't like, what do you look like or how tall are you or how much do you weigh? It was just basically, can you walk with this thing on your back and be entertaining in it? And so it really was a different experience than any of the other parades to do and to see.
I'm glad you brought that up because usually a parade is pitch perfect and who's appearing and everything like that. Not saying that none of you guys are perfect. I feel every human being is perfect, but you know, you're right. I don't think there has been or was ever a parade that did not have a requirement of what you had to look like. So, which is wonderfully unique because we could all see ourselves in you as the guest. So,
right. And I think
probably
that's why
we
even
go up with you.
Absolutely. And even as cast members, when we would have a day off and we would watch it, I mean, you would find yourself just getting sucked. I mean, it like even being in it. I mean, oftentimes when you watch a parade, you're like, okay, all right, move it along. But this one, it's like you felt that emotional attachment every time. And like all you have to do is play the first 10 seconds of music and all of us will stop and like turn around and begin to like assemble to do choreography.
I think that's a really great point, is the personal connection, right? We all had a personal connection from ourselves to the parade, right? So many guests had so many different personal connections to it. It's become sort of a touch point in my career when people are like, oh, where all have you worked? And then I get to, I was at the Millennium celebration at EPCOT for Tapestry of Nations. Everybody has a reaction, right? Everybody has a different connection to it, what it meant to them and what it still means to them. And, you know, I was there long enough that we opened the parade, we ran the original parade, and then it was only supposed to last for 15 months. And we extended it to like 3.5 years or something. So as much as people say, we'd love to bring it back, the puppets would not have made it, candidly. They would have needed a full rebuild. But we transitioned it from Tapestry of Nations to Tapestry of Dreams. Everybody's like, whatever, it's the same parade. But it really wasn't. And I think once we got into it, everybody was like, oh no, this is a completely different parade, even though it sounded mostly the same, right? We had the new characters, Cosmo and Elfin and them, but it was largely the same, but it wasn't. And what I think really stands out with that one for me in the transition between the two is that we were launching it right after 9/11. So we had just closed Tapestry and we were in pre-opening rehearsals, like right after 9/11, like right after the planes started flying again. We were backstage doing rehearsals out in the parking lot, watching every plane that went over, you know, and so it becomes this really big bookmark in a point in all of our lives that it's easy to go back to and say, that's where I was when, right? Or that's where I was when this huge thing happened in the world. And everybody has this connection to it. And I think it really changed, I mean, speaking for myself anyway, it almost changed the meaning of the parade, right? And one part of the narration was during Mirror Ball, actually, the section in the middle with those lights that Jeff loved so much, and the disco balls at the top of the float. One of the lines was from a Walt Disney quote, and it said, often we can't explain what we see. And it's sort of twofold for me. I think partly people can't explain what they saw with the parade. They just know it was important to them in a good way. But it was also this moment in time where we felt like we couldn't explain what we were seeing around us in the world. But there was still this moment where we could all come together and have this experience and, you know, this this joy in spite of what was going on in the world. And it was sort of reassuring and comforting in a way, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think too, it's funny you say that because Dreams made me think about it. They never changed Reflections of Earth, but the very last song is We Go On.
Mm-hmm.
And We Go On meant something different when we did Tapestry of Nations.
Mm-hmm.
And We Go On meant something different when we did Tapestry of Dreams because of what Amy just said. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, let's take a look at some photos you guys sent in, and we'll. I'm going to bring this up on the big screen, and whoever sent them over, please feel free to tell us about it.
Can we guess who sent that one? Yeah. So I have, from when we closed, costuming gave us this little card with different parts of the costumes that they had cut up. So. Yeah, so we were there on the last day. I was actually already living in Norway at this time, but I just happened to book my my flight over. But before I first visited Norway, I had done a photo shoot, and I got back, and people were like, "You've got to sign something," and I'm like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And it was the brochure that you now see on the right-hand side, and I open up, and there's a 2-page spread, so, and I'm like, "Okay." So I was the face of Cosmo for a bit, and it was also a picture was also used in USA Today.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Wow.
So
I think that's the only picture I have.
One of those. I was gonna say one of those is mine, and then one of them is yours. So go ahead first.
No, you go ahead. It's fine. It's obvious. It's the RPU. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know. I don't remember why I made this collage, but I was like, oh, this works out well. So this was me and me and Hammer, which I literally did exactly one time and then asked to be disapproved because the way that the legs hit I don't know what, it was a me problem, but the legs would hit the side of my face and I got off the parade route and had bruising happening. And I said, can I please never put this on me again? So that was the only time I ever did it. And then on the far right is the disc puppet. And then the middle is, it's one of the angel puppets and it's the best angel puppet. It's Pinky. We had 6 different designs, but Pinky was the best. And if I was in the past, she was mine. Like I would fight people for it. I would thumb wrestle. I would whatever it took to get it. So.
That's so cool.
Oh, snap. Well, this is backstage, obviously. And we had a great team, looked out for us, got us all in our things. The puppets were just sitting against the walls. We'd all line up, get our backs to it, get strapped in, wait, and then get unstrapped, us and the puppet, and go out. And there's me with the Bobo on the right.
And if you were in the right barn, we would do the electric slide before the parade started. So the first half would be in their puppets and the second half of the parade would be not, because there was not enough room for all of us to be in our puppets in there. But so you would walk by the barn and you would see people with like the disc puppet on doing the electric slide.
We're learning so much tonight about things that went on when I wasn't paying attention.
I don't know how you didn't know that. I don't know how you missed that because it was a frequent occurrence in our. But you were out with a wind meter checking.
Probably
out there,
trying to make the right decision. Thank you very much. That's a whole other
Keep
story.
us safe.
Boss is gone. Let's dance.
Well, a lot of dancing took place, even in the cruise quarters on the left. That's just a few of us just relaxing. And that was a fun part about the parade is, you're out there, you're performing. It's tiring, it's a bunch of exercise, and you get back and just the waves and troughs of doing a lot of movement and stuff, and then being able to relax and stuff, endorphins pumping. That was half the fun, was just hanging out with everybody. And then on the right, this is probably my best action shot. This was actually taken by my uncle who flew down and with his kids, and I was like, yeah, watch the parade. And yeah.
Then David says there was dancing. Sage of Time never got to dance.
They tried.
Yeah,
didn't
neither
always
did
work
I, so
out.
we're even. I always wanted to. And when we did rehearsals, I always said I was going to put a puppet on. I never got to it, but.
Oh.
All right. Oh,
Look
man.
at this group.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. Just on the left,
Babies.
it's us hanging out again. All 20-somethings just hanging out. Yeah, they're just really good friends. On the left is Aldi, who unfortunately passed away. But man, he was amazing. Just kept us all in humor, and just it was just everyone was just so great. We're all family. And then on the right, yeah, just I think that was my roommate actually. Is that Mark? I should know. It's my own photo. But yeah, just there you go. Wide shot of that beautiful puppet. Incredible.
And whose is this?
That's mine. And so I had this tattoo took like 2 years to come up with the design. My cousins and my brother and I, our grandma's name was Pearl, and we all decided to get angel wings with a pearl on it. And so I was going back and forth because I also wanted some kind of a Disney tattoo. And I was actually in Las Vegas walking through the MGM Grand, and they had a Chinese food restaurant that was called Pearl, and the symbol was the kanji symbol for pearl. And all of a sudden it hit me that I could do the angel puppet. And then going down the middle, the little symbols say, the top one says danger, the bottom one says rice. And those are for two of the fellow cast members that passed away that did the parade with us. And then the middle one says pearl for my grandma. So that's my angel. And my angel boys and then my grandma are on it.
Oh, I love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I've never seen a tapestry tattoo before. I love it. I hope we get to see more.
It was one of those things. Like I worked for Disney off and on for 15 years. I worked at Disneyland, a bunch of different Disney stores, and then also Disney World. And so I wanted a Disney tattoo, but I was like, I don't just want like Tigger. I don't just want, I didn't want something that like anybody off the street would have. I mean, those are all fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but I just wanted something that was like more unique. And so when this idea struck me, I was like, oh, that's perfect, because who's going to have an angel puppet?
Yeah.
So
Amy, as a producer, did you get to work with Gary, who created the show at all in the initial stages?
I did. So he actually was the producer of the show. And the way entertainment works, I've been out of entertainment now for a while at Disney, but the way it worked at the time is there were the creative people, and then there were the operations people. And so we were the operations people. So they dreamed up this show and, went to Carnival in Brazil and said, we're going to have the puppets wandering through the crowd. And we were like, totally love the idea. Absolutely not going to work in practice because we have these aforementioned, thousands of pounds worth of floats and crowd control. We've all been to Disney. We know what crowd control is like. So there were certainly some adaptations that had to happen. Some adjustments that had to be made from just like any creative process, right? Here's the idea, and then here's what it actually looks like in practice. One of my favorite memories of Gary was during the pre-opening rehearsals. We were on the promenade. We didn't even have floats yet because we must not have, because we had like the Disney character bus and like golf carts and all kinds of things marking the spots of the floats. And so we're doing these passes right in the park at like midnight. And Gary was zooming in and out on a golf cart. And we were like, this isn't safe. This can't, we need Gary to pick a spot and stay in it. Right. And he kept zooming and zooming. And we're like, please. And then finally we had the idea and we're like, hey, you know what would be really cool, Gary? would you like to go get in a boat and go out in the middle of the lagoon and see the whole thing spread around World Showcase? And he's like, that's a great idea. And that's how we got Gary to start driving in and out of the puppets during rehearsals. We put him in a boat and sent him out to the middle of the lagoon. So, but
Well,
it
here's
gave
a
him
little
a chance to see his show all at once from a vantage point that very few other people have ever seen, except maybe the Reflections text. So,
well, here's a
it was
little
an
clip of
adventure.
Gary. Let's take a look at what he had to say about the show.
We're trying to get all people together to sing, to dance, to celebrate as they literally go into the next millennium. It's called Tapestry because it really is a tapestry of dreams. It's a world tapestry because it has many threads and textures and sounds and movements. And if you look at cultures throughout time, they always hang their tapestries up because it's a reflection of what's happened. And sometimes it forecasts things that will come.
We were trying to accomplish a visual picture that somehow would connote the entire world and all the cultures all wrapped up in one.
And unfortunately, we lost him recently. But I'm so glad you got to share that, that memory, Amy, because he always, in all these clips, all these press releases I was able to find, and I love that one the most. That's why I wanted to play it. But he was just so enthusiastic about it and about it, coming to life the way it did. So it worked out, just brilliantly and beautifully. And I just wanted to ask one of my final questions for you guys, was just going to be, do you have like a favorite moment with a guest? Because I feel like, as we said before in our first group, that it's all about those encounters. Is there a moment that sticks out in your mind of a specific guest?
I have one that immediately comes to mind, and I didn't get a lot of moments with guests because I was, blending into the crowd with my radio, calling the float stops. But I will never forget one day. It was winter and it was cold. And for those of you who don't believe that Florida can get cold, it really can. And around the lagoon, it's damp and the wind gets going and it's cold. On this particular day, there was no wind. We were having a parade. But I was coming back to the gate. One of the things we would do would be to call the technician who was running the audio and really running the show from the control booth, which is on the top of the Mexico Pavilion. And so we would call Mexico Control and tell them to run the 5-minute announcement, which would then start all of this code, which was run by SMPTE time code, which is what puts audio with video and TV and movies and things like that. Anyway, so we would call up to Mexico Control and say, roll the 5. And when you were Parade 1, Tapestry 1, that was one of the things that you did. And so we would roll that and then you're going. You're going, right? You don't get to stop. But so on this one particular day, the radio piece that I had an earpiece. It was a 2-corded thing. And I had an earpiece in my ear. And then I had the little microphone thing run down my sleeve and clip to the end of my sleeve because it wouldn't stay clipped to my coat. And so I picked up my sleeve and I said, Mexico Control, roll the 5. And this kid walks by and he goes, she just talked into her watch. And I was like, no, you know what? You get to believe that. Have a nice day. And I was going to stop him and be like, actually, I did. No, he gets to believe in that little bit of Disney magic.
And now people do all the time.
Right?
Yeah, it was the Disney tech, it's far future. Well, I have 2. One, really quickly, I do remember hitting Lance Bass in the face during the celebrity bit. Might have been intentional, might have not have been. Did some dancing. That was fun. But I do, I don't know, as sappy as it sounds, I do remember this one group of kids. There was 20 of them, and they sort of came out of the playground and they surrounded Bobo, and we just kind of wheeled around and danced with them for a couple minutes. It just kept going. More kids just kept showing up. So this whole crowd, and that was the beauty of it, is they didn't get to be didn't have to be passive like normal parades. It was great.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that was one
of my favorite
memories. Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of my magics
go ahead, Jeannie.
was was the wishes. I enjoyed that part of Dreams, and the children chasing down, and sometimes they would share their wishes on the parade route to you. And hearing some of those wishes went right into my heart, and I work with children and teens to this day.
I had two. One, I was watching Dreams, actually, speaking of the wishes, and there was a little girl who had hers, and apparently she didn't want to give it to them when they came by with their net. And then, of course, right after the parade ended, that's when she decided that was all she wanted to do with her life. And so she's crying and mom's crying, and I'm just standing there and I'm trying to decide what to do. And I went up and I said, I'm not really supposed to tell you this, but I work undercover for Mickey, and he asked me to stay out here, and in case anybody doesn't get to put their dream in the basket, I will take it and bring it. The other one,
you put it in the basket. You skipped a little bit, Kimberly. It just skipped a little.
I'm so sorry. I did. I brought it back. I snuck backstage and I did put it in a basket for him or for her. So yeah,
that was sweet. Yeah. What about
and then
you,
another
Jeff?
time I had a child that was hugging me. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. So, I mean, it was. I think it's tough to go for it. Kimberly, go ahead. Oh, okay. Didn't want to cut you off, sister. No, I mean, for me, I can't pinpoint what. I mean, besides Sharon Stone that one time, that was pretty cool. But there was a time I turned around the audience and there was Julie Andrews and her daughter. That was interesting. And Will might have a funny story about that as well too. But she was, I can't remember if she was doing Candlelight that night. I think she may have been doing Candlelight that run, and she just happened to be watching the parade. But as drummers, we never got to face the audience until we ever played the hi-hat, which was behind us. Otherwise, we're facing the drums and we're waiting for them to rotate. But when we did turn around, I think every one of us, we finally had all this energy built up, and we're just like, yeah. And you would enter and find somebody that you could just deliver that energy to, and it was amazing. And you could feel them be like, it was this big build up to us to turn around, I guess. I don't know, whatever, at least from our point of view. And but I think the other interaction was the puppets. I mean, being able to see the other characters in there, to know that each one had their own personality, their own heart, their own story, and that's what made it really unique. I mean, I talked with Laura about this. The mother of all sprites. Some call her Khaleesi. I don't know if it's possible, but I said she said, yeah, it's really unique. Look at that! Oh my God, she's got makeup. She's got robe
that can't
makeup.
possibly still be any good.
I used it for the.
Do not put that on your face.
I would not put that on your skin.
I have all the makeup.
Oh my God!
Gosh!
Nice,
but
amazing.
But to see the other puppets on the parade route interact so much just gave a lot of joy. It was really cool. I mean, we were when you did the show for so long, you got used to the drums moving, the float moving, sudden starts, but you were able to look a little bit, and out of the side of your eye, you'd see a puppet interacting with the audience. I was like, that is really cool. And when you knew your time was coming up to turn around, you saw somebody in the audience that you were going to pick out, and that group was just there, and so it was really cool, especially the mirror ball section, because that was if the lights worked perfectly and they actually hit the mirror ball, it was really special. But you could look across the entire lagoon and see the entire parade all around the lagoon. And it was so cool. And I'm mad now I never got to go on a boat in the middle and see it. That would be really cool.
Listen, I never got to go on a boat in the middle and see it. I just got to send Gary out to do it.
Yeah. But apparently, we need to get a golf cart and drive through rehearsal.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, before we end our group session, because our next group is all waiting in the green room for us, I just want to do our Kodak moment. So look at the camera. Okay. 3, 2, 1, smile. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show this evening. I loved all your stories. And just great to meet all of you. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys in a little bit. And let's take a look at one of the original commercials they had for Tapestry of Nations.
The future is coming. You gotta catch it if you can. The magic's unfolding, and you can hold in your hand. We can touch tomorrow today. Make some memories that never fade away.
Come make memories that'll last a lifetime at our year-long Millennium celebration.
Celebrate the future hand in hand.
So let's welcome our next group. Here they come. Hi, everybody. And Nicole's on her way. How are you guys this evening?
I'm good. I remember that damn bird in China. We couldn't get it to come out of the globe. That never happened. So I laugh every time I see that commercial.
Well,
But first,
they
I
just
gotta
had
check
it
on
fly
Tap
by,
One.
or
No, they couldn't get it inside. It just wouldn't stay. But we got to check Tap One to make sure we got radio communication. Tap One, are you there? Tap One. Yeah, they're not wired in, so. But no, every time I see that commercial, I laugh because that bird was about 2 hours worth of filming for that 4 seconds.
oh my gosh.
And there was about 14 of them sitting there in China, and they'd load one up, they'd film, they'd load one up, they'd film. So great segue.
There you go. Worked out perfectly. Well, let's go down the line. Kevin, why don't you start, and then everybody tell what character you got to portray during the show.
So my favorite was Sprite. No, I'm just kidding. No, I did everything except for Sprite and drummer, of course. And I was there. I wasn't opening. I think I was the next cast that started after opening, and then I was on and off until it closed.
Yeah, I started February of 2000, and originally it was Bird and Marionette, but ended up doing everything but Sprite, and I was a sage as well. And I drove and did some stuff behind the scenes, and it was all good.
I guess it's my turn. I was actually fortunate to do quite a bit. I was in the workshop cast with the original Sage and the Pink Triangle, going up to Seattle and doing fittings. I did fittings through all that and through the workshops, the wind tunnels, all that stuff. Moved into rehearsals. I was one of the guys driving the omnibuses because we didn't have the PITs or the RPUs at the time. And then at the end, I was a tech that moved into tech in the parade. And my favorite part, as you can see behind me, Reflections of Earth. So I was able to do quite a bit over the 2.5 years. So I've got quite a bit of stories on all these people here.
He fixed us. He fixed when we had problems. He fixed
gaff tape, gaff tape, gaff tape. Zip ties too.
Beverly, your turn. I don't think we can hear you. Actually, I think your microphone's not working. Nope, cannot hear you. So I'll throw it to Nicole while you try to work with your mic, if that's okay.
Sure. So I'm actually the odd one out here because I was not in Nations. I was actually in Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So I was an Aztec and a Wiggle and a Hammer in 2002 for my college program, and it was amazing.
Nice. Okay, Beverly, do we think we have mics?
If not, I know it's Ted.
No.
No.
No, we can't hear you. Here, but one thing you could do is if you have your iPhone, you can try joining from your iPhone if that works. Well, yes, you could definitely do it. Just use that link. I'm going to kick you out here right now. Boop. And then she'll join in via iPhone. We work with what we've got. We're kind of like Bryan here. We use the gaff tape.
Yeah, well, there's stories behind gaff tape. Try to find hose clamps in the middle of Times Square.
Oh.
30 minutes before production, yeah. So.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that you got to be a part of while you're, creating this parade and then getting to perform in it. What were some of your favorite, rehearsals that you were at and just meeting the rest of the cast, because how many were there of you total who did this parade? It was like over 200 or something like that, right, Will?
On a nightly basis, over 200. And so I have a unique perspective in the fact that I didn't open the parade, but I was working for conventions and special events at the time, and I was part of the media junket. So I got to see everyone doing the overnight rehearsals. I was taking around all the people that were doing the soft openings and the previews. And when they called them TAs, temporary assignments, when that was over, I needed to figure out what I was going to do at Disney. And one of my colleagues put the CD, because I was obsessed, put the CD on my desk with a note that had the date and time of the next audition. And I showed up and I ended up with this motley crew.
We can hear you now, Beverly.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. Yes, Beverly, you're back. Can we hear you?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you.
I was pushing the button.
Well, what part did you get to play in the parade?
So I did Nations and Dreams. I was Aztec, Wiggle, Hammer, but I mainly did Aztec. I think if anybody who knew me knew that Aztec was my favorite. Like, that was my baby. So yes.
Love it. So we were just talking about, while you hopped on, we were just talking about rehearsals and the initial starting of doing the project, and what was your favorite part about kind of meeting everybody. And there's just so many people, many wonderful people get to work on this type of project. And you guys can jump in. Go ahead.
I remember, this is weird. I remember my training group, they were experiencing a lot of forest fires. So they actually, like our approval process, they had to keep cutting us short because it was so smoky in early morning, like 4 or 5 a.m., which is when you practice a parade, rehearsal parade. But my training group, they kind of cut us short because there were so many forest fires. It was bad.
Wow.
I remember that.
So I had actually seen Nations the year before I got cast in Dreams and was obsessed with it. We were down there with my high school show choir and we watched every pass that we could. My best friend and I actually called it our parade. So the next year I went to an entertainment audition for my college program. And when they told me I would be joining the cast of Tapestry of Dreams, this is not a joke, I jumped on the guy with a hug because I was so excited to be a part of this parade that I had seen and just fell in love with, because it's so different than anything else Disney does or has done. And I'm sure everyone here feels exactly the same way, like getting to be a part of such a special piece of Disney history and something that's so different is something that I treasure.
Well, like Nicole said, the best part about it was EPCOT specific. Mm-hmm. You go to Magic Kingdom, you expect to see what we call fur, guys and girls on the floats and face characters and waving. EPCOT had its own parade, and that was the first time that we had ever done. There were other character parades, but that was the first time it was a global site, and it wasn't based around, like Nicole said, the Disney characters. It was characters created by the production staff and the directors and the producers, and it meant something. It was something unique, and that, I think personally, that was a great time to be there.
I agree.
One of the cool things that every one of us that was here before us on the show and that's watching now, I think I can say one name, and that's Mary Troutman. We adore her and we love her, was our staging specialist. And I think she probably single-handedly taught all of us choreography and was part of our approval run. And so I came in February, so I was in a weird place because we had the opening cast and we had the first college program, and then there was this small one. I think, Kevin, you were a part of that group with me, but there was a small group that we were just this first training group of the parade, and we came in, and so we were in a weird place, and we're going through, and it was 9:00 in the morning. We're doing our run through on World Showcase before it opened. Back then, World Showcase didn't open until 11. And she had this great trick, and she did it, I think, for everyone that was opening cast, and I think she did it for every training group afterwards. But she would be watching us, and she would come up to us in the middle of the parade, and she's like, "Do you want to know a secret?" And I'm like, "Sure, what?" She's like, "You're approved." And then we would all light up, right? And then we would just be like, "All right, yes. And when I'm done with this and I'm done with my rehearsal, I am going to go into the duty base and sign up for an open hole for tonight's parade."
Yep.
Mary was great.
The rehearsals were great, and the process was great, and what we do and what we did was just so different, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking a lot tonight about the actual puppets themselves and the music. So I do have a clip of Michael Curry, who worked on the puppets, and also Gavin Greenaway. Gavin's been a guest on my podcast before, really sweet guy. So let's just take a listen to what they have to say about working on the project.
These puppets have adopted their own names, and they really came out of just a functional description of what they are. Wiggle Girl has a feature where her hips wiggle back and forth. Birdman, because he's a very large wingspan and has a beak. Hammered Copper Man was done originally in hammered copper as my original model. Aztec Man comes from a motif of headgear from Aztec Indians in Central America.
The design with this one is for people to actually become part of it for the full half an hour. So with that in mind, I wrote the music differently. It's not a musical thing, really. It's a film structure. And I was very excited that I could write a musical structure from beginning to end.
And that's what everybody really like. The visuals and the music just work well together, and then add these wonderful cast members such as yourselves. It's one of those things where you can never forget it. So when I even bring it up in the parks, because sometimes I was just there 4 days ago at EPCOT, and I was talking with somebody just saying, "Where's the parade?" And one person knew what I was talking about. But, it's one of those things that if you got to experience it there, you just never forget it. And when you're walking through EPCOT, you're like, we're missing something. So is that sometimes how you guys feel? I know, Will, some of you guys were there today at EPCOT, but is that sometimes how you feel when you walk in the park? You're like, man, I think I should be wearing Aztec Man right now.
Or when it's windy, we're like,
yep.
I blame Amy for that.
I like to always tell my family, I used to do a parade here. And they're like, yes, we're aware. You tell us every time we're here.
You show that video of Mr. Curry. Obviously, he went on to do couple of great things, Lion King, Broadway, and stuff like that. But going to Seattle to see the creativity he had behind these puppets was just amazing. And the original shoe clips were actually hose clamps bought at a Home Depot store. And he quickly realized that wasn't feasible. And we modified throughout and whatever, but the man's a genius coming up with these types of designs. They were heavy at times, and the original Birdman we did wind tests with didn't have the slits in the wings and stuff. So I have to say a lot to the production crew and the directors and the designers for realizing this. Michael Curry specifically for coming up and modifying these to make them more oriented for the performer. Quite a bit has changed over 25 years, but we worked with what we had back in the day, and he was quick to say, wow, it's heavy on the right side, let's do this. Discman, they changed things up and went to foam and, things like that. So it was just amazing. The whole production team in general was just great doing that time.
And we took out stock in zip ties and duct tape.
Absolutely.
There weren't duplicates of the puppets, were there?
Not the original performance. There was, as he said, Hammerman, which was the one that you probably have pictures of it. The original one that I did, it wasn't made of vacuum sealed foam. There were materials actually, and it probably weighed about 10, 15 pounds heavier. So
for his original
from that
design.
original to the original design to what we did for the parade changed quite a bit. And again, that goes into the creativity of the production team.
I was curious how much the performers were involved with that, and how often Michael was there, because sometimes you hear productions where they finish the project then they're gone, but it sounded like he was very involved. And do we know if he still has the puppets? Michael has them, or does Disney?
Will would have that answer. He was Michael,
or is he not allowed to stay?
Mr. Curry was definitely involved. So was Mr. Pavin, but it's 25 years. Things kind of move on, but they were very, very involved and traveled. We traveled quite a bit to Seattle. That team traveled quite a bit to Florida. I remember doing wind test on the promenade, and they just set a giant fan up and said, stand as still as you can. Of course, Tap One and Amy and those guys would hold their wind meters up at 5 and 6 feet when the puppets quite a bit higher. So,
or they would come in between parades and say, we just found out that Gary or Gavin or Gail or any of these people are here and watching parade tonight. And we're all like, for the next parade. And that was, so they were involved and very much involved for the first year, at least. Yeah. And the parade was only designed to be around for a year, and it was around for almost 4.
Yeah.
So the puppets really don't exist. There's a few of them left in the archives at Disney. I think there's a marionette suspended from the roof at the main gate building. It's still there.
Yep.
The Discman got shipped over to Paris for a parade that they did in like 2006 or something. So they've gone around. There's not many of them left, and we did a reunion, and a 20-year reunion several years ago, and we had a couple of them, but there's not many left because they just didn't survive. And we were
stripped and were discarded.
We were all young, and we liked to show off. And we were hard on them.
That's true.
Oh. Let's take a look at some of the pictures you guys sent over. I think these ones are from Bryan.
That is me on the left there. We filmed the product that went on the Earth Glow barge for Reflections of Earth. On the right, that's me with customers at the Guggenheim when we presented everything at the Guggenheim. I mentioned earlier that we had to go out at 2 a.m. during rehearsal and find a Home Depot in the middle of Manhattan. And that's not something that's easy to do. So that's when those designs changed. You got 2 wiggles showing there above my head. Of course, that was 25 years and 100 pounds ago, but yeah, that was a good time.
Oh, that's me. So those are a couple pictures of me and Hammer. One of my favorite things about Hammer in Dreams was that he was a clown puppet. And so you got so much freedom to really interact with the guests. And so kids would just run up and want to dance with you. They'd want to hug you. One of my favorite things to do was when I was on the Germany pass and we would pass the China restaurant. The name is escaping me right now. I would knock on the...
Was it Golden Dragon?
Golden Dragon.
That's
I would knock on the window with my hammer hand, and when I got someone's attention, I would wave.
I love that. Oh,
yep, that's also me. Yeah, we could sit down and Hammer. You could, you had so much freedom in Hammer, and Discman in Dreams were both the clowns. And so it was just a good time.
But
When
that
the
one
view you
on the
can do
right
that
looks like
with.
you're in rain.
Yes. I think that was one where it started raining during the parade. Actually, my family was at that one. My mom took that picture.
It's perfect. Like, I love that shot because it encompasses the sometimes the absurdity of going through Florida. 'Cause you never
Yep. It's
know.
like, well, we started the parade and it started pouring, so here we go.
So was this the reunion, the 20 year you were talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there they are. Two
It's
of
a
them in the back.
family.
Those are the two originals in the back, or?
Yeah, and
Yep.
right off the screen on the left would have been a wiggle.
Gotcha. I love that. I think I hope that they do have at least some other pieces and things, but it was just interesting when somebody said, "Hey, I have part of a Tapestry Nation drummer costume. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yes." Where did you find it? And it was just in one of those shopping centers where they take like thrift items. And I was just so surprised because it's so unique and specific to what it is. But did any of you get to keep any like little pieces or makeup like some other people have done, or any keepsakes that you love to have?
No.
So Jeannie had that little card that said a little bit of tapestry.
Yeah.
We all got that at closing
Mhm.
of Nations and Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And then our makeup was assigned to us.
Yeah.
Like, I love Jeannie, but like, girl, that makeup's 20 years old. Don't put it on your face. But that's what we got to keep.
I love the artwork behind you, Will. I need to get one of those. Can you tell us about it?
Well, I think we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Well, we could talk about it now if you'd like. I think it would be a great idea.
So one of the things is that we've got our 25th coming up, and so we are all celebrating the 25th, and we are going to be coming down, a bunch of us, to Disney, and it's great. And so we designed a bunch of stuff. A lot of people were involved in creating like the shirts that we're wearing and creating artwork and all these kind of things. And so we are celebrating the 25th because it's our job to celebrate the 25th. And so this Christy Cox was one of our amazing puppeteer performer and an amazing artist, and she has done so much stuff in the past. And so she created a collection of pop art for all the puppets, and I'll kind of like lean out and show this, but it's great. And so she has all the puppets as pop art, and so we've done all this stuff, and it's mostly for our cast. But if anyone wants to like get in on this, it's great. And so Tammy has been so amazing. She has been a part of this, and we've been talking for a long time, and she's like, we can promote this and promote 25 years. So we have a store, and we can do this, and anyone who's watching can get 10% off. So she has it on the bottom, but it's really cool. So we are all part of Disney Entertainment, which is way bigger. So all of the proceeds go to support what we do as an organization, as well as a group called Area 3 Foundation, which is for the character department, the entertainment department of Walt Disney World, for all of us that we are a part of. And they do things like crisis grants and scholarships and all these things for current and former entertainment cast members, character cast members, and their families. And so all of the proceeds go to support and celebrate 25 years of Tapestry. We're doing a donation to that. So you can go and look at our store, and you can get like these awesome shirts that we have and all that kind of stuff. So it's a weird plug, but hey, Bryan.
No, it's perfect. That's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get one of those, because that's really, I was talking to my son tonight, and Camden was watching the parade, and he's like, "What? You did this?" I'm like, "That's pretty cool." So when I see the artwork behind that, celebrating it, I want to make sure that I partake as well as anybody else.
Yeah, we have tons of talented folks that have just been, and when I think about it, about what we have all gone on to do. So we're all in our, I don't want to say it right now, but like you had to be 18 to be in the parade. So that was 25 years ago. So you do the math. But I mean, we worked ourselves through college. We did these things, and we have gone on to. I mean, we have doctors and lawyers and social justice warriors, and we've all gone on to do some great things, but we are a group that's 500 strong, and a family that's 500 strong that still maintains such strong ties today with each other. And I've been sitting and watching for the past several hours, and I look at this and I'm like, man, I am proud of what we did, and man, I am proud of the family we have. So I'll throw it out to the rest of everyone because I don't want to monopolize the time, but I mean.
Well, I do want to mention the link is in the show notes. So those who are seeing it on your screen now with the promo code, it is in the show notes. So you can check that out. And if you're watching live in the chat, it's also in the chat box. So go ahead and use that promo.
For watching this tonight.
And you can get a shirt like I did. Celebrating.
We have
Still
the same
celebrating.
shirt.
Yay! Matching
Yeah,
twinsies.
matching twinsies.
Love it. It's so comfy, and I love it. I didn't want to wear it until tonight, so I have it now, and I'm so excited to get to wear it. And yeah, it's great. And I know you said that you guys are working, hopefully, on a documentary. Is that still something that might be happening?
Yeah. So that's a cool thing. So we did. Were you going to show the photos of today?
Yes, I do have them. Here we go. Here's one.
Oh, yeah. So a bunch of us got together today at. So you'll notice Shanna in the middle and Schiller on the left and me on the right. Alicia's there, one of our costumers, which was Sonia. So we went around and we went to EPCOT today to kind of show off some stuff. But I gave them a preview of the announcement. So we also did, and I don't know if, Tammy, if you're going to show any of the clips of it, but back during quarantine, we were all bored at home.
Yeah.
And so we I just threw this out there, and, our family showed up, and I got clips from everyone, and we recreated the parade at home, and we read out merchandise. We retold our story today during quarantine times, and it was great. It was so popular, and a lot of people were like, I love it. And, some folks reached out to me about, well, how are we going to do some stuff? And what's great is that I was able to get some partnerships. I was able to apply for some grants and to get some starter money to set up a archive and to bring in footage that everyone has and to sit down and try and remaster it and preserve it for future generations. Because what we've noticed was that literally we're seeing now, and it's not just our kids and our family and whatever else, the people that were voluntold, the people who it's in their DNA, right? But we're seeing new generations of people. As Jen said earlier, she was there, like, I saw it. As you, Tammy, oh, I was 5 years old. I'm like, oh, she was 5 years old. But, we're starting to do discovery on YouTube, and back in the day, we didn't have HD. We didn't have the quality that's here at the phone of our pocket. So we're reaching out, and so what's cool is I told that group that today when we were showing off our merch and walking around EPCOT and doing a little mini reunion, our big 25 reunions in September. But I told everyone, and so it's really great, is that we have some starter money, and we are going to set up an archive, and we are going to gather footage from people and we are going to try and remaster it. We are going to try and create a full-length documentary and expand upon what we did 4 or 5 years ago during quarantine, and get interviews and really tell the story of what we did, which was phenomenal. And so I've been in contact with a lot of folks, and depending on what we do and how it goes, what I want to be able to do is, I've got the interest in that. I want to get some of the original creatives together and put them in a room with some of us and some of the people that you've seen here today, and put them in the room and say, okay, let's talk for the next 4 hours. What would we reimagine the parade today if we were going to continue the story? And how would we stage it with today's technology, and how the parks look today, and how there's festival booths everywhere, and how it would all work out? So there's a whole thing, and we're going to launch an Indiegogo for it, which is great. We've already got, like I said, about $10,000 in grants and some in-kind donations of like studio time, and people who are way better than me at looking at how to edit and restore and remaster and make our really gross, to be honest, footage from 2000 era.
It's only been 24 years.
And make it HD footage like we're seeing on YouTube right now, with a browser and a plugin. So it's kind of cool. So that is a project that's coming up a little bit later that I haven't announced very publicly, just to a few people, and previewed it today. So we're working on a lot of exciting things, as well as our 25th reunion, which we'll probably be posting some stuff. I mean, we are a group that's 500 strong, that supports each other. I personally went through cancer several years ago, and it's this family that pulled us together. We've all been through a lot, and we've done a lot of stuff, and our family is what it is. People have met and gotten married and are getting married. I think, Amy,
I'm there,
are going to be getting married soon. Which is great, and but like, we are a family that just supports each other. And we took a trip a couple weeks ago to New York, and randomly get to meet up with like 4 or 5 people, I don't know, and it's great. And so we just want to continue this, because we're seeing new generations rediscovering this, and our story needs to continue. So
I think it's so important nowadays with the turmoil we always face. And, you'd think that we wouldn't have this 25 years later, but we do. And the show is just an evolution of love and unity. And there is no different person. We're all one. And I think that this is like the perfect time to do that. I remember when I found that COVID video, and I didn't grab any clips from it. I literally forgot. But it is on YouTube. So if you type in Tapestry of Nations quarantine, presentation parade, chorus stream, there you go. You'll be able to see it, and you should watch it in full, because I remember watching it and just getting very teary-eyed at the end, because I was like, this is really what life is all about. You find people, you meet people that maybe you never thought you'd meet before, and you establish these connections, and then you never lose sight of the love and the the camaraderie that comes with that, even during a horrific time as COVID was. So I was just thrilled that you guys put that together. It was beautiful. I don't know how you did it, but you did an amazing job. It was fantastic. So I don't know what you're going to do with this documentary, but I know it's just going to be as amazing. And we want people to buy more of this merch. It's amazing. These are pictures again from today. You guys look fantastic in them, and the colors and the brightness. So thank you for letting me get my own version of it. It's just been such a joy to have all of you on the show. And I just want to thank Will also, because he really pulled this together and asked everybody to be involved. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. So let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our sage of Will.
He's been a driving force behind this, and that's been great, because like he said, we're a family, and Will's been bringing the family all over the world, as we saw tonight, together. 25 years. That's a long time to be a family. 500 of us.
And thank you so much for hosting us tonight, Tammy. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was an honor. No, it was so interesting because I think somebody from your group page found me through a home video my dad took, and we put it on YouTube. So I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to show a clip. I'm not in it, but my little sister, who's around like 3-4, is in it, and we're talking about the interaction. So I think this is important. Let me just go ahead and play it for you guys.
You can touch it. You can touch it. Oh, say thank you. Thank you. Wipe your face.
And that's what it's all about, you know?
You don't get that with current parades where you have to sit on the curb and behind a line and behind tape. And
rope.
That was very interactive. And that was the best part for all of us as performers.
It was.
Yeah.
We probably won't see anything like it again, but the reimagining where you're going to discuss it in the documentary, that
we can
will be
dream
fun.
and we can hope.
Yes. And that's what it's all about. So thank you guys so much. We got to do our Kodak moment because I don't want to forget about that. So everybody, let's look at the camera on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1, smile.
I didn't get the tapestry on. There we go.
Perfect.
All right.
You got it in there.
All right, good.
And I thought I played this clip accidentally a little bit earlier, but I thought the Sage of Time kind of gives his one-liners, and I thought that this one would be the perfect one to end the show on. So thank you guys again for being a part of this, and everybody who was on previously. You were all amazing, and I will give the final moment to the Sage. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. And that was actually Will. I just want to say one more thing. That was Will as the Sage of Time. That was the closing show. So that was the last part of it. So what a way to end. Oh, Bryan, sorry, I unmuted you. There you go. Go ahead. Say it again.
That looked like somebody else. I didn't realize it was Will. That was amazing.
Well, thank you all for watching, and thanks to everybody who is listening and tuning in. If you'd like to see more interviews and reunions like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Share your conversation about this on social media. Spread the word. We want this documentary made, of course. You could follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Tammy Tuckey, and my website's tammytuckey.com. Thanks again to the cast for being guests on the show this week. I will see you all very soon. And remember, let us fly together, hand in hand, on the wings of joy, kindness, compassion, and love. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for doing this.